Hi YouTube, this is Ozzy right here from Gotham Rouges. This is my channel FATT Fantasy All the Time. Alright, so let's do a review for week 13. This was a very important week for a lot of people. Lucky few, 4 people made it into the playoffs this week. Alright, so now I was playing for something this week, even though I'm in last place. It was just to make sure I was tied for last place. So me and Ronnie now are tied for last place. I challenged Ronnie. He did not want to challenge. He didn't want to accept my challenge. He didn't think he could beat Dr. Grontopis. He was second place in the league. So honestly, I didn't think I could beat him either myself. But as you can tell, I managed to squeeze the win out, 88 to 84. Andrew Luck did what he needed to do. Brandon Marshall laid a big goose egg. All right, so let's check out the matchup. As like I said, Andrew Luck squeezed out the win for me. I needed a good 21 points out of him, and I managed to get 29. Dak Prescott had a bad game against Minnesota, but they did manage to get the win. But it was all Ezekiel. It was always the Ezekiel show. All right, Carlos Hyde 9 points, Jonathan Stewart 3, Mark Ingram 4 to David Johnson's 29, Antonio Brown 11 to Brandon Marshall's 4. Tyler Gabriel. Taylor Gabriel was on a hot streak, man. He had a hell of a game last week. I didn't start him last week, and I figured he was gonna at least get one good touchdown. They managed to not get a touchdown, so it was only 4 points out of him. Steve Smith Sr. 5 points. Vance McDonald. This guy, the Chicago Bears, just smacked Colin Kaepernick, man, all over the place. 0 points from Vance McDonald, even though he had a pretty good streak going there with touchdowns. Dennis Pitta was in the early game, and he had 2 early touchdowns, 19 points. Tyreek Hill, another player that I did not start last week, and I decided to start this week, on a hot streak himself too. That ended 6 points only for Tyreek Hill, and Deshaun Jackson 5 points. Packers and Bengals each tied it up at 7, and the reason I was able to squeeze a win out here, Matt Prater, Detroit kicker, 18 points to Robbie Gold's New York Giants kicker, 2 points. All right, so I left quite a bit of points on my bench with Thomas Rawls. He showed everybody how he was supposed to play at the beginning of the year. He was my second round pick. And one of the reasons I am in last place, he didn't play all year long until this week. And last week he did have a pretty good game. This week he had a much better game. I did not start him, but it didn't matter. I still got the win. I would have cracked 100 points had I started him, and I would have had I wouldn't have been so worried going into the Monday night game. But a win is a win. All right, Dr. Grontopis' team didn't do too much on the bench. Michael Floyd, 7 points, Seven Coleman, 4 points, and Devontae Parker, 9 points. For the most part, Parker probably would have been the one that helped out the most. The difference of 5 points would have squeezed out a win by 1 point against me. Thank you, Dr. Grontopis. He is in the playoffs on the list, but at least I am not last place. Me and Ronnie are tied for last place. So we're going to be competing. We're going to be sharing beer bitch duties at next year's draft. It's going to be fun. All right, let's check out the next matchup. All right, so let's see what the Magic Man did. Fernando versus Get On My Level Garza. This is a battle of two of the top teams in the league. Garza going into week 13 was first place, and Magic Man was tied for third, I believe, third or second with Dr. Grontopis. By far, two of the top scoring teams in the league. Magic Man proving that by scoring 103 points. Garza, Get On My Level. Pretty much didn't matter if he got a win or a loss. He was in the playoffs regardless. But he did leave a lot of points on his bench, so he did not get the win. And Magic Man manages to stay in the playoffs. No problems, no questions asked. So let's go player by player, by position. Tom Brady 14, Tyrod Taylor 12, Devonta Freeman 21 to Spencer Ware 16. So Freeman did produce pretty good. I was a big fan of Freeman all year long. I didn't draft him in enough leagues. I kind of regret not drafting him. But going into next year, him and Coleman are probably going to eat at each other again. But Freeman is showing that he is the better of the two, the one that does not get injured of the two. So he has shown that he is an RB1, and he should be in the first round next year in most drafts. All right, Ezekiel Elliott, 15 points to Todd Gurley's 3. All right, so Ezekiel Elliott is going to be next year's Todd Gurley. So hopefully he does not have the sophomore year that Todd Gurley has. Now that will be almost impossible because Dallas has a way better offensive line than LA. Uh, so Ezekiel Elliott will be drafted in the top 3, possibly in all drafts and every format. So pay attention to that. Not much can go wrong for Dallas. That offensive line is legit. If anything, they're going to upgrade by cutting or trading away Tony Romo. Sorry for the cold. Got a little bit of a cold going on here, so I got the sniffles. All right, so Larry Fitzgerald and Mike Evans, 7 points, 5 points. Mike Evans, one of the uh, rare bad games Mike Evans has had. Sterling Shepard managed to get a touchdown, like I believe he was going to do, to T.Y. Hilton's 14 points. Now, Ty was not on the receiving end on any of the touchdowns from Andrew Luck. They all went to Moncrief, and one to Moncrief, and I believe 2 or 3 to the tight end Dwayne Allen. That guy just was open all night. Travis Kelce, 14 points to Kyle Rudolph's 4 points, and Rashad Jennings, not a big fan of Rashad Jennings, 10 points to Devontae Booker's 9. Giants defense to Raiders defense 5-7, and Brendan McManus 9 to Dustin Hopkins 14. So yeah, Fernando managed to not leave many points on his bench. Matter of fact, he only left 10 points out of a bunch of players who just shouldn't be on most rosters. One of the main ones is Colin Kaepernick. He was having a good 2-3 weeks up until this game, and I can't believe Chicago managed to stop him. That just blows my mind. All right, so Garza, Allen Robinson's 3 points, Kirk Cousins 16, so that would have helped. Cameron Brate 14, that would have helped. So nonetheless, it wasn't going to be enough to get the win. 4 points and 10 points, 14, 98 to 103. So it wouldn't make a big deal. All right, let's check out the rest of the lineups or the rest of the matchups. All right, Taco Corp versus Team Moreno. Taco Corp, I believe, is in the playoffs. He is the 4th best team in the league. Team Moreno manages to get a win, manages to stay out of the beer bitch duties by getting the win and having one game better than me and Ronnie. All right, so let's check out the matchups here. They both left quite a bit of points on the bench, mainly Dwayne Allen and Carson Palmer. Dwayne Allen for Team Moreno and Carson Palmer for Taco Corp. All right, so Aaron Rodgers, 15 points to Eli minus 11. Okay. All right, sorry guys, I needed to plug up the computer to make sure it didn't run out of battery. All right, so Frank Gore, 7 points to Jordan Howard's 29 points. That guy went off 3 touchdowns. Another guy that's going to be looking very good coming into next year's draft, possibly late first round, early second round picks. Robert Kelly, 6 points to Jay Ajayi's 8 points. So Jay Ajayi is pretty much showing that if he doesn't go off for 30, 40 points, he's only going to get you under 10. So that's not good whatsoever. Jamison Crowder, 10 points to Odell Beckham's 10 points. Jamison Crowder was probably picked up off the waiver wire in most drafts. Odell Beckham was actually the 3rd round pick in this draft. So yeah, 10 points. Very lovely. Tyler Boyd filling in for AJ Green, 6 points. Brandon DeFell was the one who benefited from the touchdowns on Taco's bench for 15. So Tyler Boyd, 6 points to Julian Edelman's 10 points. Tyler Eifert, 8 points to Sackert's 13. Moncrief, 8 to Theo Riddick, 7. Broncos defense, 16. Jakowski, 17. And Buccaneers, 13 to Chandler Constanzo, 6 points. Again, so had he started Dwayne Allen, he would have just gotten a bigger lead. And had Taco started Carson Palmer and Brandon DeFell, he would have gotten the win for sure. But nonetheless, Moreno wasn't playing for anything. Taco was playing for the playoff spot. He still gets the playoff spot nonetheless, by benefit of the other guys losing. So yeah, Taco's in the playoffs. Team Moreno manages to not be hampered with any beer bitch duties at next year's draft. All right, Grind Time Box versus Camastillo Gonzalez, Ronnie's team. All right, so Ronnie managed to get a win. He was on a 9-game losing streak, like I mentioned last video. So finally, he gets out. He gets into the win column. Grind Time Box needed a win to at least try to tie for fourth place in the playoff spot. Manages to not do that by losing by 22 points to Ronnie. He left 15 points on the bench with Russell Wilson, but Phillip Rivers got him 14, so it didn't really matter. 0 points out of Martellus Bennett, which sucked because Noah Gronkowski, that he should have benefited at least one touchdown, or at least a couple receptions for 10 yards, which he did not. Uh, so let's see, player for player. Phillip Rivers 14 to Cam Newton's 12. TJ Yeldon 7 to LeSean McCoy's 19. Darren Sproles 10 to Terrence Woods 18. Jordy Nelson, the only player that showed up for Grind Time's team, 17 to DeAndre Hopkins 11. So yeah, that big touchdown was it got what's his name cut off the Texans team. I forgot his name, James or something like that. Cole Beasley's 2 points to Will Fuller's 5. Bartella's been 0 points to Jimmy Graham's 12 points. Michael Thomas, 4 points to Torrey Smith, 0 points. Now, Michael Thomas last week had a hell of a game, but this week, Detroit is just showing that even though they managed to lose, oh no, they won, but their defense is able to shut down a high-powered offense like the Saints, so they're kind of getting a little scary there. Cardinals defense 6 points to Patriots 14 points, and Justin Tucker 10 to Greg Reynolds 1. So yeah, so Ronnie did manage to win, getting 19 and 18 points out of his 2 running backs, and 12 points out of his tight end, and 14 out of the defense. So good win, Ronnie, and see you next year at the draft, and we're gonna share beer bitch duties. So congratulations. If you would have accepted my challenge, you would have beat me by 4 points, and I would have been so beer bitch. But you were scared, but whatever. All right, Suicide Squad versus Thor's Hammer. Thor's Hammer manages to stay out of last place by 2 games. Suicide Squad manages to stay out of the playoffs by 1 game. He was complaining that I was the one who gave him his loss, so you're welcome, George. We're all going to be in the losers bracket next week. So, all right. George was a little cocky bastard. He did not pick up a tight end. He left Delaney Walker on the bye week and Gary Barnes on the bye week. He didn't cut any of his second defense or second kicker to pick up a tight end. He figured he was going to get the win on the list. Shows a lot of confidence out of a cocky little fuck. I am very sorry, Tizo. You lost. So yeah. So we're all gonna be in the losers bracket next week. All right. So George wins 93 points to 78 points by Thorshammer. Drew Brees 7. Like I said, the Detroit managed to shut him down. To Derek Carr's 20. Le'Veon Bell 15 to Jeremy Hill's 10. LeGarrette Blount 14 to Ivory 0. Des Bryant 14 to Julio Jones 11. Demaryius Thomas 6 to Amari Cooper's 11. Delaney Walker again on the bye week to Kobe Fleener's 8 points. Hold on, guys. Phone. Okay, so Latavius Murray 22 points is probably the one reason that George wins. To Randall Cobb 7, and Texans defense 3 to Vikings 10, and Matt Bryant 12 points to Caleb Sturgis 1 point. All right, Tizo left quite a bit of points on his bench, mostly coming from Sebastian Janikowski. Those 14 points would have came in handily, and that's about it. James Winston scored 5 less than Derek Carr. Now, Suicide Squad, George, he left a lot of points on his bench. Golden Tate 20 to Demaryius Thomas 6. That's an extra 14. Hoshka 16 to Matt Bryant's 12. And that's all. Even Carson Wentz 11 to Drew Brees' 7. And Golden Tate's 20 to Des Bryant's 14. So yeah, he could have scored a lot more points. So yeah, going into the losers bracket, probably George has the best team. So it's probably going to be between me and him playing for breaking even. So yeah, now that I got Thomas Rawls, I'm very confident that I could probably win this losers bracket and not have to pay no fantasy dues. All right. The 15 minutes. All right, guys. So the Harambeans and Super Sauce are the last two teams in this week 13 playoff bracketeer we had here going on. So let's check out. Super Sauce gets to win 71 to 58. The Harambeans. Matthew Stafford 23 points, playing like a MVP candidate. To Big Ben's 17 points. Lamar Miller 2 points. Very disappointing game out of the Houston Texans. 2 points to Melvin Gordon's 19 points. Again, Melvin Gordon, one of the guys that fell late into second, third rounds, maybe even lower in some other drafts. And he is going to be very high going into the next year's draft, possibly first, late first, early second, no, not farther than that, in PPR or in regular format, which is what we play on. Matt Forte 7 points to Tim Hightower's 0. So yeah, so not many players produced for the Saints. Starting to think if the defense scored on defense or something. I'm not sure on kick returns or some shit. Stephon Diggs 5 points to Manuel Sanders 2. Tyrell Williams 10 points to Michael Crabtree's 13. Antonio gets 3 to Eric Ebron's 3. Sammy Watkins 3. That guy, I don't like him, but Fernando showed me some of the stats he's produced. So yeah, he has produced pretty good stats the last couple of years. Had he not gotten injured, he'd probably be at and around 10 touchdowns, maybe even 1,000 to 1,100 yards. And since he is a pretty fast guy, they probably would have used him in the run game somehow, or in the in the rounds or some shit like that. So he would have had a couple more all-purpose yards. Pierre Garcon 7 points to Sammy Watkins 3. Eagles defense 0. Seahawks defense 9. Dan Bailey 5 to Nick Novak's 1. Again, the Houston Texans game was a horrible game, low scoring. All right, the Harambeans left 16 points on his bench with Mike Gillisley. That's about it. Everybody else, Blake Bortles 9, so nobody wants that. Matt Ryan 15 on Super Sauce's bench, and Ravens defense 14 points. So yeah, so that's about it. And like I said, 4 people made the playoffs. That is first place Fernando, Magic, whatever. Now you see me, whatever. Second place, the Gruntoppers, and third place, Garza with the Get On My Level, and fourth place, Taco Corp. So yeah, those are the lucky 4 guys. Winner gets $450. So congratulations, guys. Like I said, I'm gonna try to win the losers bracket, so I don't have to pay the $50. All right. Let me edit and upload this, and see you next time.